Among them is the declaration of the incumbent president and a candidate for the next presidency of Petro Poroshenko. It has suffered changes, the largest in the income. Vladimir Zelensky is not a public servant, so the only available document about his condition remains declaration in 2017, which he provided during registration before first round of presidential elections. Real estate President Poroshenko has remained almost unchanged if compared with the declaration of 2017, which he also submitted to the Secheks as a presidential candidate. Petro Poroshenko and further owns a house in Kozin Kiev region in Square M and the land around it. The only thing that was added as joint property into a new flat in Kiev is 80 Square M. In addition, Petro Poroshenko has ceased to be the beneficiary of several entities associated with the plant workshop on fishing. In the autumn of last year it became known that more than 50% of the shares of the plant will be sold to the TASS group controlled by businessman and politician Sergei Titipko. At the end of February this year, Mr. Titipko in interview to magazine, New Time, told me that plans to build in the Forge on fishing, residential area and a large shopping and office center. However, the declaration of Petro Poroshenko appeared and a new legal entity, Russian Group S.A.R.L., registered in Luxembourg, and Russian First S.R.O., registered in the Czech Republic. But the interest in the International Investment Bank grew from almost 16 million to 20 million increased and funds placed in accounts in the bank, more than $61 million against $25.5 million in last year's declaration and more than 2 million versus less than 100,000 appeared also a new bill for over 8,000 British pounds. But the biggest source of income become dividends, almost 400 million from investment fund, prime assets capital, and more than 1 billion from Rothschild Trust. Company Rothschild Trust received a blind trust, the share of Poroshenko's Russian Confectionery Corporation. Petro Poroshenko, Russian conveyed to the trust property Rothschild once failed to find a buyer. When the end of 2018 became aware of the payment of the first $500 million of dividends in the presidential administration reported that Rothschild Trust had decided to transfer the dividends Poroshenko for the first time in 3 years from transfer of property and management. This decision was taken under the trust agreement concluded in 2016, which Poroshenko was deprived of any right to participate in the management. Russian, then said the AP. In general, the revenues declared by President Petro Poroshenko in 2018 to exceed 1.5 billion, while in 2017 the total amount of revenues amounted to almost 100 times less, only over 16 million. On their income Petro Poroshenko paid nearly 40 million of income tax, almost 6 million of the military tax, and more than 300,000 of land tax. Because it is not a public servant, the only available document about his condition remains declaration in 2017, which he filed at the time of registration before the first round of the presidential election. It is home to more than 350 squares and land in the Ivankovic near Kiev. The apartment has an area of 132 square meters in the capital, as well as several apartments in common ownership, and a few apartments registered in the Cyprus firm Alderant Limited, which declares the candidate's wife, and he is the ultimate beneficiary. With auto, Land Rover and Mercedes, watches, Breguet and Rolex. Among the securities are shares of companies registered in the British Virgin Islands and Cyprus, and the Ukrainian government bonds. Vladimir Zelensky and his wife have funds placed in bank accounts with the largest deposits in $1 million, at bank, and cash $285,000, $50,000 and €220,000.